Hi there, Nick again. Just following up with the whole gambling story, and just a little bit of insight from talking to friends who have been sort of VIPs. And when I look about VIP customers, or high value customers, as some of them now are rebranding it with the operators, it's quite scary to when you realise that. And again, I keep going back to my GA story, is the fact that GA is very close knit, and it's very good as a support network, but it doesn't align himself with anything political or a better understanding of how gambling really is. And through sharing my experiences and meeting other people, when I say I was a VIP scheme, I got invited a couple of times to a couple of horse racing events because I was quite a high value customer in terms of being inside the bookies. But once you're a bit of an online kind of VIP kind of customer, a lot of these people, a lot of these operators set limits on there. Once you reach a threshold of spending X amount of money, you then become a VIP. And when we say VIP, like you said, a lot of them now are trying to manipulate it because there's a talk of trying to get VIP schemes banned. A lot of them have moved the word into HVC now, because they're high value customers now. And again, it's kind of the practices of the industry, and the fact that there's no source of wealth checks. Where did you get your money from? And these, and they allow you to spend huge amounts of money, which trigger these kind of VIP schemes. Which is, in fact, then what they do with these VIP managers, they're paid by the company then to manage your account. And I've heard so many horror stories where you've had VIP customers sort of reach out to the operator and going, right, okay, I need a break now. I've spent too much money or X amount of money and blah, blah, blah. And they might have stolen that money. And I've met ones who have stolen that money, and I've panicked, and I've gone to let's self-exclude or whatever, and loads of different sort of scenarios. And then you get the VIP managers then giving you a couple of days break and then contacting you, offering you, there's a £500, depending on how much money you spent, there's a £500 or £1,000 you just deposit in your account. Just go and have a little cheeky bet. And it's this manipulation of how they operate, the mindset of bringing these people back into that world of, they know they're vulnerable. I mean, these people, I don't care how much money you earn, because it's not just about money, it's the fact that these people are betting on anything and everything type of thing. I mean, and we talk about this this current one come out at the moment about bet regret, and I'm Gamble Aware pushing out this sort of new advert at the moment of it's so tokenistic, and the whole thing around safer gambling and responsible gambling, it's such a falsehood. And the way, and it's really opened my eyes in the last 12 months to how operators will work to make sure that you're still gambling type of thing. I mean, and how they don't, how people self-exclude, and then they might contact the operator again and saying, I want to lift the self-exclusion ban, and they'll just do it type of thing. I mean, and the VIP schemes are particularly vile. I think that they shouldn't exist type of thing. They have, part of the review has to ban these schemes. And again, I think the way the operators work, I think they have a thought process, and they are thinking right now of how to change it and how to keep these things going. Because I can't remember exactly what the stats are, but in terms of profit and these kind of customers, vulnerable and problem gamblers, I think the revenue and the profits that come to the operators come from a high percentage of these people. General regular gamblers who might have accumulators on a Saturday, so they are not part of the huge profit process for the thing. But these people who spend lots of money and are vulnerable, I just think myself, going back to the whole remote thing again, is that certain sports might have continued during lockdown, things like Ukrainian football. And if you've got an online account and you are betting on things like Ukrainian football or something completely remote and extreme like that, when you have no knowledge of it, just to get a bet on, then I think you've sort of seriously got to ask yourself some questions of, have I got a problem, and should I really be doing this? But I think, just to finish this off, I think whilst we are talking about trying, and you've amazingly given people like myself a platform to share our stories, I think I think with the whole thing around gambling, I think the operators are polluters, and they've got a huge responsibility to try and reduce gambling harm. And we've got to move away from this, again, the terminology about what is responsible gambling. I mean, responsible gambling is not about the individual. It's about responsible gambling is back on them. What are you doing to make gambling responsible? What are you practicing? What are you doing? What are you doing to spot vulnerable customers? Well, what do you do when you spot a vulnerable customer? Do you restrict their license? Do you stop them? Do you restrict their accounts and stuff like that? Do you actively engage them and saying, "Are you okay?" And it's not a case of, and I tell you, one of the biggest worst traits with gambling is the fact that gamblers are compulsive liars. We're very good at manipulating, and what the industry should be doing, if you really want to address this problem, and I'm not pitching for a job because I wouldn't do it, but what they should be doing is scooping up these people who are in recovery, who are in a really good place in the recovery, and trying to do some good stuff. You should be scooping these people up and saying, come and help us. We want to stop some of these practices. We want to stop and help vulnerable gamblers. And if you really want to do that, then get these people with lived experience on board. Give them jobs. Get them in your department's responsible gambling units, departments, whatever you want to call them, and saying, we want to find these vulnerable gamblers and we want to help them. And until they start doing stuff like this and they start banning VIP schemes, everything they do is very tokenistic. And like you said, for me, it's stop polluting and start doing something about it. But that's my sort of final thought.